starting the topic. So let us begin with invoking Lord's blessings. In 18th chapter, it is like the culmination of all the concepts that have been introduced and expounded by Bhagavan. Up until 17th chapter, they have been summarized in the 18th chapter. So this is the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Though it has taken quite a few years for us to travel from the first chapter to the 18th chapter, but it did not take that much time for Bhagavan Krishna to narrate this and Arjuna to understand it and get back in his life fully equipped to face life. It must have taken probably about half an hour maximum just before the war to resurrect that Arjuna whose mind was dejected because of Dhritarashtra's schemes. And to that despondent, desperate mind of Arjuna to resurrect him back to clarity towards what is his purpose of life. So this culmination brings all the concepts of the earlier chapter in nutshell. So the reason I want to repeat these 3 shlokas because they have very healthy tips about meditation. So please repeat the 3 shlokas after me and then we will dwell into the meaning. The 51st shloka of the 18th chapter. Buddhya vishuddhaya yuktaha
Buddhya vishuddhaya yuktaha
dhrityatmanam niyamya cha
Dhrityatmanam niyamya cha
Shabdadin vishayans tyaktva
Shabdadin vishayans tyaktva
Ragadveshau vyudasya cha
Ragadveshau vyudasya cha
Ragadveshau vyudasya cha
Ragadveshau vyudasya cha
Vivikta sevi ladvashi
Vivikta sevi ladvashi
Yatavakkaya manasaha
Yatavakkaya manasaha
Dhyana yoga paro nityam
Dhyana yoga paro nityam
Vairagyam samupashritaha
Vairagyam samupashritaha
Ahankaram balam darpam
Ahankaram param darpam
kamam krodham parigraham
Kamam krodham parigraham
vimuchya nirmama shantaha
Vimuchya nirmama shantaha
brahma bhuyaya kalpate.
Brahma bhulaya kalpate.
For those of you who have joined us new, because you will be hopefully attending all the days, and since you are anyway attending, do you all have a Bhagavad Gita book at home? So please bring it along so that you don't need to be moving your lips but actually chanting it. It's a good opportunity to learn the shloka the way we have to chant it with proper pronunciation. How important is it to be proper about pronunciation? God is compassionate. He will anyway forgive us if we do some mistake. How does it matter? Even with a syllable changed, the meaning can go from here to there. One common example that I always quote is this businessman who had gone on a trip, did not realize that the place that he would be having his meetings was an amazing, beautiful resort. So, touched by the beauty and scenic beauty, he texted his wife saying, "Wish you were here." Immediately, 20 seconds later, his wife called a very angry tone. And he didn't understand, what happened? Why are you angry? Say, who is she? What, who is she? Check your message. So in his auto correction, wish you were her instead of wish you were here. So here and her, there's only one E missing. But with that one E missing, there's a lot that this fellow could be missing. Similarly, when we chant these shlokas and these mantras, they have a positive influence on anybody who is chanting it. It's good if we can learn the meaning, and the influence of it, the impact of it will be deeper. But even without the meaning, chanting has its own effect and impact. Like when you take a jasmine flower and you smell it, do you need to know the chemical composition as to why it is smelling that beautiful? Nonetheless, you still enjoy it. Similarly is the effect of these Siddha mantras, especially from sacred texts like Bhagavad Gita. So please bring a book along. It does not matter whose commentary or who is worked on it, what publication. Because whichever publication you bring, you have to listen to me only. So please bring that book along and let us continue. There are a lot of misnorms, wrong beliefs that have been aired as meditation. Because this has become a good trend-setting spiritual business. Especially where, in every strip mall, you can have a yoga studio, and they also start offering meditation classes. It has become a good trend. A long time ago, and about 5-6 years ago, when I got my sannyasa diksha, I came back. This Amma, with a well-meaning intention, got me a welcome package gift. It was a basket, a big one. And in that basket, she had all things that pertained to meditation. She collected, gathered, ordered, brought them all and packaged them together. So the first thing that I picked out of it was a meditation mat. Organic cotton. meditative mat. Meditative CDs, a bunch of 5-6 CDs that she gathered, which said meditation on the top of it, said useful for meditation. Meditative incense sticks, agarbattis. There are a huge package. There's so many things that anywhere that she found meditative, she just brought it and put them all together. The funniest one in that whole package was meditative soap. And the whole package is still sitting in one corner. The most dangerous one I feel is the soap. That you are applying that soap in your shower and you suddenly go in meditation. Start levitating. With the fear of that, I have not touched it at all. The reason I am mentioning this example is, anything with the brand of meditation is become like a sellable market. And there are people that come out saying that this is a new technique of meditation. There is only one kind of mind. And to transcend that mind, there are not that many processes. Whichever Upanishad, whichever scripture that you take, it talks about these techniques as a very single pointed effort. There can be prep work that can lead us to that meditative equipoise, which can be multiple techniques, but meditation as such, there are not that many variables. I overheard this doctor telling her patient, you have your blood pressure and a lot of anxiety, you should start meditating. It will be quite beneficial, quite fruitful. It will bring your mind to a focus. When people with half-baked knowledge start advising everything under the pretext of meditation, sometimes I get irritated hearing it, sometimes I tend to laugh. You can only get irritated for so long. What actually is meditation? What is the preparatory prerequisite? And what is called meditation? These 3 shlokas put it very beautifully. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this particular topic was touched upon, which is again brought here as a crux, the synopsis of that chapter in these 3 shlokas. So Bhagavan says here, Buddhya vishuddhaya yuktaha dhrityatmanam niyamyacha. What is required as a prerequisite for somebody who is a seeker, who is sitting on a seat of meditation? These are the couple of things. 1. Dhritya atmanam niyamyacha. To have control over the mind such that it is single pointed. In the 6th chapter, if we cross refer, there Bhagavan says, Tatra ekagram manah kritva na kinchidapi chintayet. That who gets to bask in the glory of meditation? That one who has the capacity and accessibility over their own mind, that at will they can bring their mind to one single pointed focus. We have been constantly told that meditate and you will get focus. You will become single pointed. Whereas Bhagavan Krishna very clearly is trying to tell that you have to first acquire that single pointedness, thereby sitting on the seat of meditation, meditation will happen effortlessly. Now when we go sit on the seat of meditation with this wrong intention, to find that focal point, you close your eyes and then try to bring that focal point, and you're trying to meditate to bring that focal point. Frustration is in abundance. And you say, oh, I tried meditation, it doesn't work. When you want to open a bottle, you should know which side is openable. You keep trying to tamper the base of the bottle and trying to open it and get frustrated saying, this doesn't open. Even a kid will come and say, uncle, you have to open from the other side. Isn't it that simple? Similarly, when it comes to meditation, do we have balance and accessibility over our mind? At will, not by mistake. Suddenly one day I wake up and by mistake my mind is very calm. My mind is very composed. By mistake. There is no rhyme or reason for it. It just happened that that day you were finding it peaceful. Can we achieve that at will? Irrespective of the fact what is happening in the outside world of interaction, the ability to pull that mind out of such involvement and to bring it to a focal point. How do you bring it? You bring it with the strength of clarity of the intellect. Buddhya vishuddhaya yuktaha. Under the supervision of the intellect, the mind is withdrawn into single pointedness. The other day when I was doing question answers, I was giving this example. Mind is like the constant flow of thoughts. As soon as we are awake, until we fall asleep, there are continuous flow of thoughts. Continuous train of thoughts. These continuous train of thoughts is in fact the definition of mind. What is mind? Continuous flow of thoughts is called mind. In that train of thoughts, what do we carry? What is the content of that thought? Can be varied. Some can be good thoughts, some can be bad thoughts. Some are glad thoughts, some are sad thoughts. The various kinds of emotions that flow by. And how random are these thoughts? These thoughts are in multiple directions, constantly running out in all possible avenues. Now with that mind which is constantly running all over the place, that is not the problem. Oh, Swamiji, my mind is all over the place, I don't know what to do. Congratulations. Why?
Still, Allah is working.
It is working. By definition, that is how mind is. Now, when you look at these thoughts, we can put them into two categories. That which you have willed into a certain direction. Like all of you sitting in this avenue. You are trying to grasp what I am trying to say. You have brought yourself willfully, or you have been brought. And now that you are sitting, you are trying to apply that mind into this direction. At least that is the effort, without getting distracted. Willful expression of that mind. While you are trying to apply yourself in a willful direction, there are times wherein our mind takes off unwillfully. And sitting from here, I see everybody. So I get a nice Vishwarupa darshan. I get to see everybody's expression. And since I've been speaking for a while, what kind of expression gives me an indication saying that they are in the topic or off the topic? So they are like, the head has gone to one side, and then the eyes are piercingly looking, and if it is a very complex thought, or it has a logic, and you are trying to catch and grasp that logic, there is that knitted eyebrows coming together. And suddenly it flashes, the understanding happens, and then the eyes widen up. I got it. Usually what happens is, when there is that flash that I see in different eyes, about 80-85% of the eyes flash up. Then I say, okay, I can move to the next topic. Otherwise I go back and again revisit the topic and go. Then there are these expressions wherein eyes are wide open. They are looking at me, but rather than at me, it is through me. Though the eyes are directed towards me, the focal point is not me, it is somewhere
Single pointed.
that is out of focus. Single pointed is on focus. This is out of focus. It's like, they are zooming in, suddenly zoomed out. And then the mouth is half open, and suddenly people start laughing, and then they're like, I'm back in. Those unwillful moments wherein the mind takes off in its own direction. And when that seemed to happen quite often, that unwillful mind and thought process is the frustrating. When it is daydreaming, it is not that, it's not productive, but it is not harmful. At the most, you harm is yourself and your time and resources. But the unwillful mind, wherein there are these vehement emotions that keep, the waves of it that keep coming. A sudden outburst of anger, rage, frustration, a sudden grip of sadness. Willingly, nobody wants to be in that frustration. Nobody wants to be in that sadness. Nobody wants to be in that depressed moment. You want to come out of it, but it is so gripping that it keeps pulling you down. It is that which creates a sense of restlessness, frustration. If willful thoughts create frustration, you should have been prepared for it. You started it, you should know why you are there or what you are ending up doing. You should be responsible for it. But the unwillful mind, when it takes off into these different emotions, different directions, and suddenly we realize that we have gone into this too far. And what do we learn? We learn that suddenly bottle all this up. Over a period of time, bottling all these emotions up, we are like a mini volcano, mini pressure cooker building up. And when does this pressure cooker blow its steam off? When we interact, when we end up interacting with the weakest link in our interaction, somebody that we know will not react, or somebody that we know will not pounce upon us. Usually children spouse all the day's frustration out there. Some went, some lose corner. And it on a repetitive pattern, when it keeps happening, it becomes our characteristics, it becomes our personality. How do we train to break this pattern? Meditation is not a quick fix solution that you just go sit there, close your eyes, suddenly there will be transformation. It's not like sitting in a sauna. You don't have to do anything, then you go into that steamed environment and you just have to sit and it will happen. You will start sweating. That is one effortless method where you can start sweating. Go to a gym, do a lot of exercise, or go out to the field, do a lot of exercise, or go out for a run. The sauna is different. You just go sit there. Meditation is not like that. Then you go sit there, close your eyes, and suddenly everything will get fixed. It will not get fixed automatically. There is no magic or miracle here. There is a sincere, logical approach and its application. Are we on the same page about the willful and the unwillful? How do we snap out of that unwillful? Understand it in this way, that before we can control or find accessibility on that mind, we need to step out of the flow of that emotion or emotions. The street which is right here on, what is that street's name? Walnut. Can you cross from this side to that side? You have to be a little careful, see the traffic on both sides and walk across. I'm not challenging anyone. I'm just asking, can you? Suddenly I open my eyes and everybody is going, we went to test. Walnut, what is it? Walnut Drive, Walnut Road? Walnut Street. Walnut Blue. Walnut Street, you can cross. But it still has a traffic. You have to be careful. Highway 49. Is it 49? Highway 49. You have to cross from one side to the other, not the underbridge, the road. If you are ever caught in such, it's very difficult. It's almost impossible. It is insane for somebody to try even crossing. Our mind and emotions are like that freeway, wherein we are smack in the middle of the flow. Being in the middle of the flow, we are trying to block all the traffic. Instead of blocking, what happens? They run over us. Before even working on that mind, we should learn how we can pull ourselves out of that flow. Then observe the mind. There are step-by-step processes. The first process. How does one put the effort to pull oneself out? Are you all interested in learning meditation?
Yes.
Take notes and go step by step, so that there is absolutely no confusion left. You don't need a paper and pen. If you have a smartphone, it will have an application wherein you can take these notes. Or even better, if you have a recorder on that smart gadget, something is smart with you, right? Use it. So first step, how do we pull our mind out of that traffic of constant flow of thoughts? So the rishis have found that the key to pull that mind out of that traffic is our own breathing. That is the key. Whenever we are angry, agitated, how is our breathing? We may not have observed. Have you seen somebody get angry? How is their breathing? Fast. There's a lot to learn from the cartoon shows. Tom and Jerry. When that bulldog gets angry at Tom, how do they show it? That the breath is becoming faster and suddenly there is puffs of, the air that is coming out. And then finally it can't take it and it just slams that top. Right? So whenever we are agitated, our minds are that unbelievable sudden surge of thought flow. Reciprocatingly, our breathing is fast, shallow, unrhythmic. Right? Even at this point, how is your breathing? We are not meditating, we are not doing anything spectacular right now, just listening. But even in this attempted effort of focused mind, how is our breathing? Define normal.
It's irregular, up and down, changes a little bit here and there, maybe.
That means the mind is not yet focused.
They are meditating.
Again, the same mistake. We need focused mind to get to meditation. Meditation will not bring focused mind. Whenever our mind becomes calm and we observe our breathing, it is deep, rhythmic, and there is a pattern to it, a regularity to it. Ramana Maharshi ji in his Upadesha Sara, he says that Shakhayordvayi Shakti Mulaka, for both the breathing as well as the thought, the Shakti, the source, is the same root. Therefore, there is that intimate relationship between the thought process and the breathing, that when the thought is agitated, our breathing is agitated. When the thought is calm, my breathing is calm. We know how difficult it is to control or regulate thought. But is it difficult to control our breathing? No. Let's try. Sit straight. Breathe in. Deep breath. And hold it in. Okay, let's try it again. Breathe in, deep breath, control it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe. Are we able to regulate our breath at our own will? Yeah. Controlling breath is easier than controlling the thought or the emotion. Instead of trying to fight with the thought, try to regulate breathing. It is such an effective process that it is taught to all athletes. Have you ever been to a basketball game? I've been to a couple of games where there's Mavericks and who was they from? San Antonio? Spurs. And you should see the chaos there. There are about 40,000 people in that stadium. And nobody is sitting there meditating. Everybody is on the top of their lungs shouting, screaming. On the top of that, there is a commentator commentating. Now, if his voice has to be heard clearly, it has to be at a higher decibel level than all the screams that is happening. On the top of that, there is a loud music. And it's like you're sitting there, it almost feels like the speaker is right under your seat. It vibrates. Especially that, we will rock you. Like 50,000, 100,000 watts speakers. And if there is this player who has to take a three-pointer, everybody right across opposite is like, making those sounds, clapping, go, go, go. When I started, early, when I said, go Mavs, go. मुझे लगा in Hindi translation, ja Mavs, ja. They're like, why are you on the same team, supporting the same team, or are you on the against? I said, no, go for it. There are people screaming for and against. At that point, if you observe, they're bouncing the ball, and what are they doing? Gathering themselves up and focusing on their breath. I think in all my NBA watching, there's only one fellow who has never made a three-pointer. Do you know who? Shaq. Shaq O'Neal. He has never ever made a three-pointer. He is like a 7-footer and he can easily, it's easy for me to comment from here, and at least he is on the same height of the hoop and he can almost like reach across and put it. And he does everything and he hits and it bounces off. The rest of them I have seen that it is such focus that to withdraw the mind from all distractions instantly, what helps? The focus on breathing. And breathing is one thing that you can carry wherever we are. Should be, right? भूल गया मैं No, it's always with you. All that we have to do is focus on it. And I'm making it even more simpler. Then when you go into pranayama means, yama means to control of prana. There are various techniques there. The simplest of the pranayamic techniques that has to be applied here is regulate the inhalation and exhalation such that there is a simple, easy inhalation but a long, slow drawn one. So take slow inhalation and exhale slow. Regulate that breathing pattern, say about 11 times. Then it falls into that pattern. That it was only slow inhalation and slow exhalation happening. The moment you start slowing down your breath, the mind becomes alert. It is easy for me to snap out of that particular emotion or thought process that is happening, that I can step aside. The thought flow, I can step aside from it. That I can start observing. I can objectively see my own thought flow. At this point, Do not try to engage by identifying what kind of thought is flowing. What is the quality of thought? What is the content of that thought? Don't evaluate it. This is where many of us, instead of observing, we start identifying with the thought. The moment we identify, we are back in the flow. There is one process called observation. The other process is called commenting. You can comment on the thought only if you have realized what is the content, what is the kind of thought, what is the kind, whether it is good, whether it is bad. We don't need to analyze any of this. Just observe that there is a thought and the thought is flowing. Don't try to stop the thought. Distance yourself from the thought. Observe it. What happens? As though by magic, the thought suddenly ceases to move and the thought suddenly evaporates. Why? Now pay attention, there is a subtle logic. Thought movement is the expression of a layer of matter in its subtlest stage. What is a thought? It is nothing but matter. And Newton's second law applies there also. What is Newton's second law? Law of motion. Any object continues to be in the state of motion or rest unless until external force is applied. Simple. Matter per se does not have its own source of energy. Thought is nothing but matter and it does not have its own energy. I have to interact and become one with the thought to give it energy to move. The moment I separate from myself from that thought, what happens to the source of energy? It is disconnected. But still it trickles down because of the momentum. Observe it. Don't react to it. But instead what happens? We start evaluating the thought, whether it is a good thought, whether it is a bad thought. How can such bad thoughts come when I am trying to sit and meditate? How can this bad thought occur right then at this moment? And we start commenting on it. We are already associated with the thought and we are smack back in the same flow again. Still it does not stop the flow. At this point, the rishis have advised, introduce a self-disciplined, accessible thought and repeat it in synchronization with your breath. A self-disciplined thought is called mantra. And the purpose of mantra is not to do a marathon on it, which many of us focus on the number and we Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. You know, you're trying to run away from Lord Shiva or scaring you. Right? The purpose is not to run away, is not to speed up the process, but instead to introduce that thought in synchronization with your breath. Now what happens? At any given point of time, there can only be one thought that can be processed by our mind. That is how it is designed. That is its default nature. There cannot be multiple thoughts parallelly running. Whatever parallel processing that we do, what do we call it? Multitasking. Multitasking is not that there are parallel thoughts running. It is running with such speed that you are able to shift from one thought to the other, thinking that there are multiple parallel thoughts running. They are not multiple parallel thoughts. There is only one thought that can be entertained at any given point. So when we introduce this self-disciplined thought called mantra, and you are synchronizing it with your breathing. So you are breathing in Om Namah Shivaya. There can be only one thought. What happens to the other thoughts? They automatically get eliminated from the system. When thus we repeat this pattern of that mantra being chanted, and again people are, sometimes when they come to spirituality, they suddenly become over logical. Why mantra? Why not anything else? See, mantras invariably have the most powerful positive energy packed in them. They are called the Bijakshara. All the mantras invariably have the Bijaksharas. Random words may not have that positive effect. Therefore, invoking that self-disciplined thought, buddhya vishuddhaya yuktaha, with that intellect, focus on repeating this mantra along with the sync of breathing. Why in sync with breathing? So that the process is not disturbed or deviated with another unwillful thought. Without struggling with the unwillful thought, we have already eliminated them from the system. The longer I can keep repeating this one thought over a period of time, what has happened? Pay attention here. The unwillful thoughts and the vehement thoughts that keep erupting, every time it erupts, there is certain energy that is expended. That energy is conserved. Energy conserved is energy gained. First layer of energy gain. Second layer of energy gain is when you are consciously breathing, you are taking maximum oxygen, and that maximum oxygen makes your brain maximum alert. And it energizes the mind. Second layer of energy acquired. We are doing it in synchronization with the mantra, and mantra is a high potency of energy unleashed into the mind every time we chant. So that much amount of energy is again gathered. And consciously doing it, make sure that this energy is not dispersed in unnecessary channels. So about 4 different layers of energy conservation and generation. You have a solid, unshaken momentum of energy accessible to the mind. That mind is called focused, single-pointed mind. This focused, single-pointed mind, when applied into the inward journey, is called meditation. This single-pointed, focused mind is not the result of meditation, but it is a prerequisite, it's a necessity, so that we can meditate further. When there is something that has to fly, a flight that has to take off, there is a runway that is required. Usually, if it is a 4-seater, about 115 to 120 miles per hour, the momentum is generated where it can take off. If it is these Airbus and bigger ones, it needs about 300 miles per hour momentum generated before it can take off. If there is somebody that says that let me first fly and then create the momentum, you cannot create the momentum after flying. You have to generate that before on that strip and then take off. Does it make logical sense? Therefore, let us come to a logical sense that meditation is not for bringing a focused mind, but a focused mind rather is a requirement for being able to meditate. Thus, having acquired that single pointed focus, that momentum, that energy is generated. Now, what is the next step? Usually, our mind has constantly been conditioned only in two phases of functionality. One, it constantly thinks and thinks and thinks, gets tired of thinking, and then goes into sleep. Sometimes the intensity of thinking is so tiring that they fall asleep. That is why we see many of you who sleep during satsangs. बहुत सोच रहे हैं. We think and think, get tired of thinking, and then suddenly drop. So there is a thinking plane, and then you suddenly drop into the slumber called sleep. We sleep and sleep, get tired of sleeping, and the mind starts weaving its own web of dreams. It starts thinking even before you wake up. So sometimes when we wake up, we feel fresh. Sometimes when we wake up, we feel so tired that we want to sleep again. If you have made a very keen observation there, when we wake up from a deep sleep, we feel fresh. When we wake up from a dream, we feel completely tired and lost all energy. So either we think or we sleep. Now with this meditation, with that focused energy generated, what is it that we have to learn? That this plane of thinking, otherwise there is a deep slip into sleep. Instead, from that plane of thinking, we have to now fly into a non-thinking yet alert, awake state. To be in that state of complete silence, awareful silence, undisturbed, is called being in meditation. Am I clear with the concept? Buddhya vishuddhaya yuktaha dhrityatmanam niyamyacha. So the process is clear. We are still in the preliminary steps. For that to happen, what should be even before we talk about mind and accessing mind and streamlining the thought and energizing it and observing it, before we get to all those processes, first thing, Shabdadin Vishayan Styaktva Ragadveshau Vyudasyacha. Withdraw the mind from all sensory stimulus. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Withdraw from it. Otherwise, sitting there, you will be smelling and after meditation, I will go eat this pulao that she is making. You're drawn with the smell. Or the rest of the times we don't even bother, but as we sit on the seat of meditation, in that faucet in the bathroom, there is that one leaking tap. That sound is also becoming distracting, and we focus on that. Withdraw the mind from these sensory stimulus. And then Vivikta Sevi Laghvashi. Sit in solitude, so that my meditation does not become a nuisance to others around, and others don't become a nuisance to my meditation. So go into solitude, a separate room, a separate place. Ekanta. And then, how should the asana be? Don't sit on such elevated platform and then sit for meditation. Because sometimes if you fall asleep and fall from this level, it's quite dangerous. And suddenly you are with all band-aid and strapped in, and what happened? Meditation.
Experience.
Yeah, when I was conducting it, there are so many people that fell off the chair. And do not take, people take pillows and the blankets and fluffed up and then sit on that, and it should be soft enough that the harshness of the floor is not felt, but not so soft that it feels like, if I have another comforter or something, I can go back to sleep. On the seat, sit in the most comfortable posture. Once I asked a gathering, what is the most comfortable posture? They said Shavasana. Shavasana is lying down. So why can't we do meditation while lying down? When we have gathered an expertise to sleep even while sitting, what will happen while you are lying down? No meditation will happen. You will be having sound sleep. Sleep for yourself and sound for everybody around. Kharrate maar ke so rahe ho. And what is the principle there? The total surface area of our body in touch with any support system, as it increases, lethargy of our mind increases exponentially. Therefore, sit wherein there is back support eliminated. Sit in a posture wherein the head, neck and back are in one straight line. This is not a straight line. This is not a straight line. This is a straight line. Without tensions. There's nobody trying to fire you. You are not on the firing line. Relax your shoulders. What has to be straight? Your head, neck and back have to be straight. The shoulders have to relax. And do not allow your hands to be like this. Why? Body generates a lot of magnetic, electrical energy system. The moment you leave it like this, earth being a bigger magnet, it sucks away all that energy. Therefore, if you have seen, the advice is to connect that energy, loop it back in, that it is not wasted out. And if that becomes difficult, this is also looping it in. Put it in your lap. So that sometimes what happens, that you have gone trying to do meditation, but the hand falls asleep and then it falls and then you get disturbed by your own posture. Put it in your lap. Easy and simple. So your back, head, neck are in one alignment, shoulders are relaxed, hand is positioned in your own lap, and you are sitting crisscross in such a way that there is no center of gravity displaced. How do you know if the center of gravity is displaced? Do you know where is the center of gravity with respect to our own body?
Through the spine.
It is right at the navel,
Okay.
the belly button as they say it, right there. Can you all sit straight to your back to your, put your legs down with your backs to the chair support. Without bending forward, try getting up. $100 challenge. Thanks for trying. It was hilarious. It's impossible. Why? You can move forward only if that center of gravity is given a thrust. And then you can displace the upper mass with the support of the lower mass. That's the center of gravity. If that center of gravity is leaning on any other lower part of the body, if it is not aligned with the head, back and the neck in one straight line, we will immediately see that the leg falls numb. There are like little ants running all over. Why does that happen? Because of displaced center of gravity, the mass of the upper body is falling unequally on that part of the body that it is stopping the blood flow circulation. So readjust your position. I'm going in thorough details.
Dr. Sarveshananda.
Hmm?
Is it Dr. Sarveshananda?
I don't need to be what is that fellow doctor? Oz or somebody like that. I am Swami Sarveshananda. I don't need to be a doctor. So the position is assembled. Then close your eyes gently enough that the outside light is not a disturbance or a nuisance. And I say gently enough, it is not a you are not in the bathroom. So close your eyes gently enough that the outside light, outside ambience is not disturbing. Then follow your breathing. Regulate your breathing. Then step aside from the thought. Observe the thought. Replace that flow with the chanting of mantra. If we can in 15 minutes sit and do this much without getting distracted or disturbed, we have achieved quite a progress in our effort to reach to meditative equipoise. All these are steps to reach to meditation and cannot be called as meditation. So what is meditation? To stay awarefully in absolute silence without even a thought ripple. Without even a thought. Arey wah, maja aa raha hai. That also is a thought. And it is already getting distracted. And whenever there is a distraction, do not allow that mind to dwell upon the distraction and get agitated again. Instead, go back to your breathing, step away from that distraction and start the entire process again. Few years of such practice. I am not kidding here. There is no instant process here. Many of us have gotten into this instant coffee, instant idli, instant life. The instant quick fix meditation, there is nothing like that. There's a lot of rigorous, disciplined practice. Vivikta deshi laghvashi yatavak kaya manasaha. The thought, word and deed is completely withdrawn, focused into that silence. Dhyana yoga paro nityam vairagyam samupashritaha. Thus, when we practice withdrawing from the outside world, vairagya, into this silence, then what we acquire is deep sense of peace, which does not get disturbed by the presence or absence of sound or any other distraction. Even if you are interacting with the most challenging situations, your peace from inside is not disturbed. That is where meditation as an extension away from your meditative asana is extended into your day-to-day life and its application. The moment that sanctuary of peace is created within, to look at any life incident or thought or interaction from the most objective perspective becomes easy. Why is it that important? Have we ever surprised ourselves by giving an advice to someone else at their life situation and problems with a brilliant clarity? Sometimes we also step back and say, "Areva, I gave that advice. I must be improving in something." Do you know why we were able to give such brilliant advice to someone? One simple factor: it is not my problem. There is no sense of attachment to that situation or problem. And I was able to see it clear-headed as an objective perspective. Now, once this sanctuary is created within, I can view my own life experiences and thoughts with that objective clarity. And as we intensify this, what gets weakened? Ahankaram, balam, darpam, kamam, krodham, parigraham. What gets weakened? The ahankara. Whose ahankara? When you practice your meditation, your wife or your husband's ahankara will not get diluted. My own ahankara will get diluted. Wrong, erroneous perceptions of one's own self. Balam, darpam, kamam, krodham, they will reduce. What is krodha? Krodha is that suffering, that which we inflict on ourselves. Anger is that suffering which we inflict on ourselves, born out of despondency. Why? Because I am not able to see it from an objective perspective. But the moment you can see it from an objective perspective, the irritable triggers are silenced. And you know what is the best part of this? Wherever there is a problem, the solution is right around there, hiding in its shadow. Because we are so zoomed in and attached to that problem that we are not able to see that solution. Has it ever happened that you have been searching for your cell phone and you ask somebody, "Hey, call," and it was right under you? And it starts vibrating and you say, "Oh, my bad." It's right there. That ever happened? It is right under there. But we don't see it because we are so attached to it. And we start being the solution rather than being the problem. It's which aspect of our mind that we identify and associate with. Then we get the stability that whatever mode that my mind should function in, I can charge, I can whip that mind into that mode. Sometimes I have to be aggressively involved in activity. And the mind cannot say, mood nahi hai. It is not its option. It's my choice. That if it is necessary, I can whip that mind into that direction. Not just getting into a work. When not necessary, to withdraw that mind consciously from all extrovertedness at will starts happening. That is called control of mind. We have grown as human beings. We take pride in controlling market. We take pride in controlling money. We take pride in controlling others. But we have never learnt, we have never been taught how to control one's own self. And once we know how to control this mind from that subtlest source, thoughts change from gross to subtle. Perception changes. Thereby, convictions get nobler. And with that conviction changing, the actions, thoughts and words uttered, they start reflecting that nobler quality. Personality changes, complete rehauling happens. And it's not a magic, it's a rigorous, disciplined effort. Vimuchya nirmamaha shanta. Such one who can bring that peaceful environment within at will, at command, such one will be able to achieve the benefits of meditation having quieted the mind. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Is the whole process clear? Do you know where you have to start from? First, wake up in the morning. Can we do it at night, just before going to sleep? I'm kind of a night person, you know. By the end of the day, when the body is tired, the mind is vexed, there is no meditation that will happen. You will be having a rocking motion. And that is not called meditation. Have I insisted enough upon the benefits of this kind of a process? Can't we pull out 15 minutes for our own sake early in the morning? See, if your early morning is that you wake up early morning by 8 o'clock, wake up by 7:45. I'm not talking of an extreme sudden change, that suddenly those who are waking up at 7:38, you wake up early morning 3:30 or 4 o'clock, Brahma Muhurta Kala. That surge will only last for 1 or 2 days. the repercussions of it that you will never go back to that process for the rest of your life. So I'm not talking about a sudden change of pattern. If you are waking up at say 6 o'clock, wake up at 5:45. And instead of spending into that bathroom, that is where we waste a lot of our early morning hours. How much time do you spend for, brushing, freshen up, taking shower, shaving, cleaning, makeup, all that put together? How much time do you spend in the bathroom?
Including makeup, 30 minutes.
क्या makeup करते हैं?
You call it upon yourself.
चुन चुन के एक बाल को समाजते हैं.
That was a general statement.
You, me and Anup, we don't have that luxury.
No, see, Bal applies to me.
We take about 25-30 minutes. Right? That day when you unfortunately woke up late, right? You have to rush through your morning. How much time do you end up spending in that bathroom doing all these activities?
10 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes we are out of the bathroom. How much time are we wasting in the bathroom then?
25.
Solid 25 minutes. Did I create a gap? Did I create a opening? 25 minutes. Even if I go with your norm, 10 minutes. Did I create a gap of 20 minutes there? Now all that I am asking is spending 15 minutes. Don't overdo it. But that 15 minutes, rain or shine, every single day, do you must. Once you see the joy of witnessing the mind and be liberated from the influence or impact of the mind, that is the day that you can celebrate. Until then it is a chore. I have to sit there, I have to do that. But the day you know that you are able to separate yourself, weed yourself out of that thought and its impact, a seeker is born. Then there is no turning back. Then you automatically will find time to increase it. Then you will automatically find scope to repeat it over the day, wherever you get time. Then it intensifies. That's not going to happen over the weekend. It is not going to turn around within next 2 months. It has to be rigorously applied for a long period to come, for all these benefits to be cherished. Clear? I would say many of you who have attended for the first time, I think the Lord had a plan that you should be listening to these details directly. There have been so many who have been continuously coming and somehow they have missed today. Lucky. Now once we reach to that stage wherein at will I can command that peacefulness within, what happens next? How does that meditation proceed? That is said in the next shloka, which we will see tomorrow. So we start at 7:30 sharp. Many of the Indian programs organized by Indians usually follow IST, Indian stretchable time. तो 7:30 बोला है तो 8 बजे को शुरू कर ही लेंगे. We start at 7:30 and we don't pressure ourselves by extending it beyond. We stop at 9 o'clock. So please come on time. And tomorrow BYOG. Bring your own Bhagavad Gita. Do you all have Gita books with you? Yes, no? आप भी चलेगा.
Also available for.
And if you do not have it, for further study and commentary, you can buy the book Bhagavad Gita, which is available in the bookstore. But please come with the Bhagavad Gita. Make sure it has 18th chapter in it. Sometimes they are so old that you don't know if the pages are there or not. So make sure it has 18th chapter. And then you come here and then, 18th chapter nahi hai. Let that not be the case. So see you all tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.